Now, awesome.
There you go.
Thank you. Asking ye shall receive. All right. Jeff Larue, Mastermind with Neil Schwartz. We are together and we are excited about our mastermind meeting today. Jeff, welcome. Let's give him a big hand. Good job, everyone. And a bigger hand to Joni, his wife, that probably does everything in the background, right? All right. Good work, everyone. So, Jeff, give me a little bit of Reader's Digest about where you are and the business that you do, please.
Well, if we start with, would you like me to start with my 2023 goals or what's happened in the last few years?
I actually would like, give me a little background of how you even started in this business.
Well, that was a long time ago. That was 32 years ago. My mom said, Jeff, you're perfect for real estate. I had no real career ambitions and got in the business and like most agents, I guess I had my struggles, but at times had a lot of success, but it was not very consistent. You know, I couldn't really depend on it. I didn't have any systems in place to know that certain parts of my business were going to create sales for me. And then in 3.5 years ago, I came into contact with Mike Ferry, and that's when I signed up for coaching. So I'm 56
you were wandering
now, so
the desert for 29 years?
Basically. So that would have been the fall of 2019 and or 2020, excuse me. No, 2019. And I did 35 deals that year and thought I was just slammed. So the next year was then, after coaching, went to 55, then to 75, and then this past year, 95. 2022 was 95. And we're projected to do 130 in 2023.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Now, when you were doing 35 deals, mostly listings, mostly sales, how'd that break out for you then?
50-50. I've found, right in that range. Finally, last year was the first year that we were about 60% listings, 40% buyers, and we're definitely trying to move that way.
Got it. Okay. And was the 35 deals one of the best year you'd ever done up to that point?
No. I'd had better years than that, but that was about average.
Okay.
I had a few years where I'd done 45 or 50. I think one year when the market was smoking hot in the early 2000s, I maybe had 65.
Okay, good. But you really didn't follow anyone particular before that?
No, I have been I've always wanted to be coached. It just makes perfect sense. And I love the energy and the knowledge that comes from putting a lot of people together. The takeaways are just endless, as opposed to the typical realtor that I am in contact with is just a know-it-all. And they're going to do it their way. They know everything and they don't need any help.
Okay.
So that's the way I see it for the most part.
So were you kind of that person in the beginning?
Neil, I don't think so. I was always looking for some help. There used to be a coach a long time ago, a guy named Joe Stump, by referral only.
Sure.
I love that concept and still keep some of that stuff in my business. It's a great idea. And then some people that kind of were an offshoot of Joe, a guy named Rick Ruby started another coaching organization called The Core. I spent some time with them and then was a little bit lost and ended up finding Mike.
Got it. So I want to go back just for a second, because you said that your mom had suggested you go into real estate. How old were you 35 years ago?
Well, I was in, it was 32. So I was in my late 20s. Mid-20s, 25, 26, something like that.
Okay. So, and there was no real estate in there in your family's businesses or anything like that?
My mom was a realtor.
Ah, okay.
She
That
was,
makes some
but
sense.
not very, she was never, she passed away a couple of years ago, but she was never very successful either, never really had a plan.
So the reason I keep asking this and looking where it comes from, for anyone to get to 100 transactions in this business, whether you've got a couple people working for you or not, is very, very difficult. It's a pinnacle thing in our business. Would you agree?
I would.
Okay. So for you to take that and then kind of flounder for a number of years, doing some coaching and some systems, and then all of a sudden to find, I don't know, whatever, when the student is ready, the ferry will appear, so to speak.
Yeah, sure.
Exactly. What was it? What resonated in you that didn't resonate for the other 29 years?
That's a great question. So I think what made me know that I could absolutely do it, and I'm a pretty straightforward, honest guy, was at, I guess, the first superstar retreat that I ever went to, and that would have been in 2019. And I was not in coaching at that time, but signed up soon after. And I know, Neil, a lot of these agents maybe better than I do, but there was a gentleman that's being coached by Mike that's been on stage a couple of times. He's from Congo or someplace in Africa, and his accent's super thick. He was an orderly in a hospital, and
Ibrahima, right?
Didn't sell a house for a year.
Ibrahima.
Okay, yeah. I don't recall his name, and just seeing a few people like that, and then some of the other people that don't speak English very well, that have all these challenges, whatever it is, and they're doing a tremendous amount of business, and it's just, to me, it was very eye-opening. I just said, look, nothing should be holding you back. If these people are doing this kind of business, and I don't remember the young lady's name that was on stage at the past Superstar Retreat. She was from somewhere in California, I believe, and just was doing a massive amount of business, huge transaction, and came to the United States. She didn't speak English, from Mexico.
Hardly still does.
Yeah. So I hear you, but it was just saying, hey, you can do this, and here's a path. Here's how you do it. And I just started doing everything that MFO said.
Oh, see, that's really interesting. You started to do what was, you didn't take it as suggestions, you took it as commands.
Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
this is what's working.
Okay, because I think that's a really important distinction, because some people hear things as a suggestion or a recommendation. Why don't you do this, even though you're being told exactly what to do? And others take it like what you're saying is, this is what they said, this is what I should do. And they do it, and great stuff happens. So I'm curious, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step on you. What were you saying?
No, I was just agreeing. You're correct.
Okay, so you shifted gears, you got under this environment, you drank some of the Kool-Aid, as we laughingly say. And what were some of the changes that you made? Look, you're a professional real estate agent, you're doing 35 transactions a year in and year out, pretty much, a little more, a little less sometimes. And all of a sudden you get involved with this guy, and he said to do what that made such a big difference, because you went from 35 to 55. That's 20 transactions in 1 year.
Right.
What'd you do different?
Well, again, there's so much that comes out of MFO, it can be a little overwhelming, but I remember somebody saying, once you get to 100, it gets easy. And I thought, that's nuts, because I did 35 last year and I was slammed showing houses on the weekends, open houses, blah, blah, blah. So, but I believed it. I knew it was the truth. So I just listened to all of that. And really it's Mike's concept of thinking big or thinking outside the box and coming up with new ideas. And then also learning how to handle your schedule, what's important. And just the fact that you just have to, we're in sales. We've got to call people on the telephone.
We're in the talk to people business.
Heck yeah. Yeah.
Got it. So you took those items and then you put them into action and you did more deals and your mind expanded and you thought you could do more deals. So what changed in the next year from going to 55 to 75?
Probably that I stopped showing listings. I stopped working with any buyers.
Okay, good.
I've
So
not shown any houses in a little over 2 years.
how tough was that for you?
It was real easy.
Tell me about it.
Easy. Well, again, being in the business for as long as I have, I think you have to look, I think it'd be difficult to find somebody that's been in the business this long that enjoys showing houses. I think that's something for somebody that's newer. It's got the energy to do it, the excitement, and not just you're just opening up another door. So that's what helped me a lot there, was just that. And there was a couple of times when we had a few buyers that would show up. I'm like, oh, gee, they're going to buy something really nice really quickly. And maybe I could take them, but it's funny, you think that then it doesn't work out that way, and you just never know. And my wife, Joni, who's in here with me, we have actually, I don't like the thought of buyer's agents on our team. I think everybody should just be a licensed team member. But Joni at that point started working with a lot of our buyers.
Okay. And she's doing, so tell us about your team, how that's structured.
Now I have, of course, myself, that's the team lead. Then I have 3 other agents that are licensed and actively listing and selling property or generating the leads to do so. We have Annette Fanning, who's my operations manager. She's licensed, handles all negotiations of listings and home inspection repairs, which she's fantastic at. And then we have 2 other people that are in operations, Taylor and McKenna. They handle some different special projects, but typically they'll take a listing or a buyer from beginning to end. And that's a huge part of I have 4 goals this year, and one of them is to have a rock solid customer service system in place by the end of the year. And that's what they're here to do.
Got it.
Yeah.
So you have a number of people, and is Joni one of the 3 agents?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So, and didn't I read somewhere that you grossed in excess of $1 million last year? I read that.
You did. I did. Yeah.
So, $1 million goes pretty far. It's Knoxville, right?
It does.
Probably a little bit further than it goes in California, huh?
I would guess. I've just been to San Francisco once a long time ago, but from what I hear and what I see, yeah, it's nice. It's a nice living for us here. And
what's your average sales price?
A little over 400.
Okay, so for $400,000, what do you buy? What can you buy?
So many, I work in a very broad area, but if you're talking about and we also have an area here just north of us that's called Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, Sevierville. If you've ever heard of Dolly Parton, this is kind of her mecca, and it is a huge vacation area. And there is tons of properties that are owned there that are being bought by investors. But we're probably at about, Joni, you think $200 a square foot, maybe more?
So how big's a $400,000 house?
2,000 square feet.
Cool. And what kind of rent can you get?
For that same house,
Uh-huh.
probably 2,500.
Okay. I think I'm gonna be busy next week.
Send me some money. But no, we do manage quite a few rental properties, and they do exceptionally well. Yeah.
Very nice.
Mhm.
Very nice. You get a lot of people from California out there buying some properties.
We do, absolutely.
So what are they doing? They're coming and they're paying cash, and then you guys rent it out.
Yes, typically, or they may get some sort of equity loan or something, but yeah, typically.
So 4, 5, so $27,000 a year gross income, more or less. No, 2,500 would be 30,000.
Right.
So $30,000 coming in, and if I put $400,000 down on it, what's the 10% would be 40 grand. So I'm getting about 8% cash on cash.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not running the numbers, but that sounds about right. And again, and our value has gone up so much, Neil, in the last few years. I just rented out a house that we're managing last week. The guy 4 or 5 years ago paid $300 for it, and we just rented it for $3,500.
So
2 years
what's
lease.
going up, the rents or the values of the houses? What's going up more?
Both. Both.
Got it. Can you guys see I'm a little interested in what's going on that
We've
part?
it's one, as our business has grown, Joni has gotten more into working with the investors and also working with us. We do buy and sell some properties and remodel them. She's more
So
doing that,
Jeff,
working with our
how
clients.
important is it to you? Well, first, let me back up. What percentage of your business is investors in state and out of state?
I would say maybe 10 or 15.
10 or 15 deals or 10 or
Mhm.
15%?
10 or 15%.
Well, I guess at 100 deals, it's the same.
Oh, well, yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay. So how important to you is it that you can talk these numbers in this conversation with you and I, and you make me feel like you know what you're talking about and you know the market?
Right.
How critical is that? And do the new agents in your competition, do they have that knowledge, or do you run circles around them?
I would say that if given the opportunity, would definitely run circles around them. It's just been so hot, Neil, that it's really been just kind of a no-brainer for these people that are willing to jump in. I remember when Joni first picked up a few investors, and I did too. I had one guy in particular, but 7 or 8 years ago, if you'd have said, I've got an investor that wants to buy, I'd have been like, oh, no. I can't help you buy a $200,000 house that you put no money down on and blah, blah, blah. But that's dramatically changed in the last 5 years.
Right. Got it. So where's your business come from, Jeff? I mean, you're doing 100 deals, you're trying to get to 130.
Yep.
Where does that business come from? Do you know how the percentages divide out?
I do, as a matter of fact. The last year we had 35 sales that came from our database. We had 25 that came from probate, 10 from for sale by owner, 10 from expired and canceled, and that's another 10 that were just kind of, sprinkled around.
Got it. Are you buying any leads?
No,
Have you ever?
unfortunately,
And that didn't work for you?
no.
Okay.
Zillow was a disaster here.
Really? For you, or just the whole community?
I think for the whole community. There's Knoxville zip code systems. There's couple, 2 or 3 zip codes you'd like to buy leads in, and they're ridiculously expensive. And then as you go to other zip codes, price ranges drop, and the quality of leads was just really poor, and it was frustrating. The phone would ring and you felt like you had to immediately fly out the door to go show the property, and it just wasn't handled properly.
Got it. Got it. So how do you follow up on your database? Is that something that you do? Is that something your team does?
I call 10 a day is the goal. Today it was 15, but normally I'll call about 10 a day. We'll send out an email once a month. That's like I've been doing this, we're changing this right now, but an email once a month that's a bomb video, 30-second quick little video of me talking about the market. And then we'll send out 4 postcards a year.
Got it. Jeff, have you met Randy Thompson, my partner in crime lately?
I don't believe so.
Now, Randy, any questions of Jeff that you have that you can think of right now?
Yeah, Jeff, when you jumped up from the 25, 50 to 75, how many hours a week are you working?
Oh man,
Great question.
Beautiful. It's a great
question, Randy.
You know,
Rarely.
I mean, to jump up and double your deal, and then to come up and do it another, 50%, and then do it another, 25%. There's a lot of, that. What did you do different with your time to actually be able to handle that?
It was definitely a case of working smarter and not harder. And 40 hours, maybe, extremely rare working on the weekend, extremely rare.
So you were very diligent on your schedule, correct?
Yes, although that's always a work in progress. But yes, when it gets to be 5 o'clock, I'm going home.
Yeah.
Unless there's an appointment to be had.
That's a 5 o'clock. You're going home no matter what.
Yeah, unless if I have a listing appointment, sure, I'll go.
Okay.
I'll go anytime during the week with a listing.
Is most of your listing appointments done during the day or done in the evening?
During the day.
Really?
2 or 4. That's the normal of the options, and it may go a little bit. We can change, and then I'm doing some listing appointments on Zoom right now. I'm no tech guru, but last listing I got was a Zoom listing appointment.
So because one of the biggest things is I hear is taking up my evenings with my family. I'm on the weekends. I'm going to do a lot of listing appointments. I'm doing all that, and we out here in Southern California. I would like to say that we do more during the day, but that most of the people work, so we have to do most of our stuff at night.
Okay.
I just was wondering how you got around that, but you just set it up, huh?
Well, and it's just thinking outside the box. I don't know if you know who Bernie Gallerani is or not, but he's just right down the road from me. I like to refer to Bernie as the Elvis of Tennessee, and I'm just Johnny Cash. But he's an awesome guy, and I've just listened to so many things that he's done when he would have an agent set an appointment, and it would say, "Oh, it's 7 o'clock at night," and Bernie'd say, "Give me the phone." He'd call him back and say, "Hey, 7 doesn't work anymore. Can we do 4?" Sure. So it's just having the mindset, and that's a big deal. It's just the mindset of just asking for that.
You're a young man like me and Neil. So working as hard as we do it at the ages we are, it puts a lot of pressure on a lot of stuff. Are you finding time to spend time with the family more with 100 units?
Yeah, I think they wished I would work more. But my kids are actually 21 and 23, and so they're into their own lives now. But no, that's not an issue. We travel. Joni and I travel a lot, and we're trying to work into a couple of other ways for to travel and work at the same time. And I'm excited about that, quite honestly.
So, Randy, I wanted to ask Jeff, I'm kind of looking across the board here and noticing something. Jeff, like Randy said, like you and I and Jeff and a few others on this call, we're a little bit older than the average bear, and thankfully making way more bank than the average agent, um, and still enjoying it and loving it. I hear a lot of agents, Jeff. I mean, you broke the mold in that you got the message a little bit later on in life.
Mhm.
You were doing the business, you were making money, but you thought you were at the peak of what was possible until you heard a different message. And then you kind of downshifted the car, maybe put a Maserati engine in the old Ford, and downshifted and really cranked out. In 3 years, you went from 55 to 95, and you're going to break 100, and you broke $1 million.
Right.
And you still have plenty of gas left in the tank. That's pretty cool, man. You don't have to be, or you don't need to be a young person. And I guess the message I'm trying to get across here is that you have shown this, but you can start a little later on in life and really do some major things and make some major money following a system that works. Congratulations.
Hey, thank you. I mean, it's again, I've got a great coach with Mike Ferry's operation. I think that's super important. And just to have an open mind, do what they say to do. Have a good mindset, right? Always be willing to change and learn. I've added 2 new things to my mindset, or my the way that I work just this week. I heard somebody say, because I listen to a couple different things on the way to work. I've got a 10-minute commute. I might listen to Joel Osteen. I might listen to some music. I might call somebody. And somebody was like, I listen to comedy every day on the way to work. I'm like, okay, I'm going to put comedy on every day this week. I've listened to comedy on the way to work. And they said, I send my schedule out to my whole team every day. I've sent my schedule out to my team every day. So it's just always willing to improvise and make changes and do things differently. It keeps you energized. I'm easily bored.
Well, that's great. Excellent. Are you open for a few questions?
Oh, absolutely. Sure.
Great job. Okay. Questions for Jeff Larue. Raise your hand or just jump out.
Hello, this is Gabby from Temecula. Could you please repeat what is the source of your business?
Yes, Gabby, it's 35 from my database, which, by the way, was about 650 last year. And I'd like to have more, but anyway, 35 from the database, 25 from probate, 10 from for sale by owners, 10 from expired and canceled listing.
I have a question.
Sure.
Sure.
Go ahead, Tony.
Yes, thank you, Jeff, for attending this webinar. My question to you is this. For your probate, do you approach the lawyer who is taking care of the probate, or you approach the deceased, the people that their parents are deceased, or one of their, they are executive right now, the probate? Whom do you approach? And how is your approach? If you are going with the lawyer, how do you approach the lawyer? If you are approaching the executive, how you approach the executive?
Great question. Yes, I do approach some lawyers, but very few. I've not had a lot of success there, but some. I have 3 or 4 in my database that have been involved in a transaction. So if I actually get to list or engage with somebody in probate, I will reach out to their attorney. So to start that relationship. But I have a lot more success dealing with the administrators of the estate, and I just call them directly.
I have one more question. Do you handle the divorce cases too, or
No,
no divorce cases?
I don't. I would maybe. It would
You just-
depend.
And
They
what
can
is
be
the
kind of
reason?
tricky.
What is the reason that you don't?
Well, sometimes they'll tell you that they get along really well and then they don't. And they can be very time consuming. So that's been my personal experience. I don't focus on that. I do try. I've got one lead right now that I am presenting myself as an uninvolved third party. Well, I think that's good. If you're friends with the husband or the wife, I'm not saying you can't get the business, but I think the uninvolved third party is a great way to go. And divorce could be a good form of leads. I worked on one last year and it was just a nightmare. It was just, the people were both going crazy and it was very frustrating.
Okay, great answer,
I have a
Jeff.
question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I ask, oh, Jeff, I have a question. Can you hear me?
Sure, Shane, go ahead.
Do you find that people are less likely to say no to you when you're in person as opposed to being on the phone? And have you gotten more positive results just being out there in the open?
Good question. When I was at the Mike Ferry production retreat, Mike asked, and my coach Tim Rowan asked me to be on the stage because of my pre-qualification of a listing appointment. And that's something that I do exceptionally well. And that's why my listing percentage last year was up close to 90%, I believe. So I'm not going if I'm going to hear no, Shane, a lot of the times, depending on what the no would be. So I really try to get the pre-qual taken care of before I go. And don't get me wrong, you can have some curveballs thrown to you. But I think the best way to avoid hearing no is with a really strong pre-qual.
I guess I meant more, also more like getting leads and whatnot. It's easier to get leads when you're talking face to face as opposed to maybe on the phone. It's easier for people to kind of like brush you off a little more.
Oh, no. I love being on the phone. Love it. I'm not a realist, it's kind of weird. And Joni and I talk about this sometimes. I'm an amiable personality, but just in being in this business as long as I have, and now, I talked to 41 people, my number. So I'm not the most social person. We don't have a big network of friends. I'm not going to parties and, get-togethers and stuff and trying to get business that way. That's not the way that I work. I know it works for a lot of people, but for me, it's all on the phone.
Got it. I
Yeah.
think the answer you're looking for, Shane, is whatever works for you,
Absolutely.
keep making it work.
May I
Good
ask
job.
a question?
Excellent. Yes, go ahead.
Hi, Jeff. Thank you so much for today. I appreciate it.
Sure.
I just wanted
Yeah.
to ask you, I know a part of your sources were expireds and cancels. I just want to see, how often do you find yourself touching back, following up on average until you actually get them under contract?
Not a lot. Not a lot. For me, there's two different ways that goes down. It's either they're going to immediately relist or they're going to go long-term and I'm going to put them into my database. But the follow-up, I'll do it, but I don't have a lot of success with it. And I think that's something for me that's important, is to get the leads off my desk. I remember a couple of years ago going into January 1st, I had a stack of leads that big. I was like, boy, this is going to be great. I was talking to somebody in a role play and I said, what should I do with these? And she said, you should throw them away. Because I'd collected them over the whole year, and she was pretty much right. So I think it's important to get the lead off your desk one way or the other.
That's great advice. Thank you. Okay, Karen, did you have your hand up?
Yes, just quick. Hi, Jeff. Good to see you.
Hey, Karen.
So this is
is my favorite role play partner.
Ah,
So,
yes.
Jeff, I know you have a very high success rate when you go out on your listings. How many listing appointments are you looking to do a week?
I want 8 listings this month. So 9 or 10 for the
Wonderful.
month. So two or 3 a week.
So you're making phone calls till you get that appointment each day, or are you?
I'm not that, I like that. I've never had, it's a good concept. But typically not. I'm falling a little bit into contactitis, which I'm falling out of again, but I'm doing a couple of different things right now to change the way that I call. And it's just the freshness of that. But I don't go in that manner, because it's funny, we may list 5 houses next week, and then none the week after and none the week after. So it's not consistent. And that's why the people that work with me that handle the backside of our business are so valuable. They may be not busy at this given moment, but they're prepared to handle a lot of business. So I feel confident that's coming.
Right on. Okay, good.
Great,
Jack,
great question, Karen. Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead, Valerie.
Okay. Do you send a pre-listing package?
I do. And if I could go backwards again, I think it was Savannah was asking me about the expired and the canceled. Do not be afraid to go knock on their door or leave a business card just saying, call me, I want to help you sell your house. Just that simple. Nobody's knocking on doors around here. So I don't know what's going on where you guys are, but that's a different way than just a phone call, because when the listing expires or it cancels, their phone's just blasted. But people showing up on the door, I think, is different. It can give you a way to set yourself apart.
Thank you for that.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Good
Yeah, yeah.
information, Valerie. Hey, Matt, did you have your hand up? Matt Thompson? No. Okay. Other questions?
I had my hand up.
Yep.
Sorry, Joey, go ahead.
Okay. So kind of going back to the pre-qual, you said that you do really, really well when it comes to the pre-qual, and you won't go on the appointment if you're going to hear a no. So my question is, what are the questions that you're asking that's going to draw out the telltale signs that the client may say no?
Great question. And I do use, somebody had asked earlier, I do use a pre-listing package most of the time. And oftentimes it's either overnighted or it's delivered, and it can be emailed. It's not the same way every time, but I think that's important. The questions that are asked, of course, it depends on the lead, exactly who you're working with. But if you just go through the pre-qual and you say, okay, if you're comfortable and confident with what I tell you today, are you willing to, I always have the script in front of me, but will you be willing to go ahead and list the house with me today? And they'll say, you get different answers at that.
Yeah.
And one of them that I've gotten a lot better at is the answer of, we'll see. Okay. We'll talk about it. Okay. Tell me more about that. You want to have something to write down on the pre-qual on your script. It needs to be, tell me more about that. That's a great question, no matter what their answer is, if you're not crystal clear. So to say, then to go back and say, okay, so, and I appreciate that. So if I just knock your socks off today and you're confident that I can get your home sold, is there anything holding you back from signing with me when I come out? That's a great question that you need to have answered. And
Okay.
It's surprising. Sometimes they'll pull something out of a hat that you never knew was there. Well, we're want to talk to my wife's friend that's a realtor next week. Things like that. Well, I'm still waiting on a couple of things with my credit score to see if we can buy. Whatever it is, they're going to tell you, but you want to know when you go to the house that you've got a strong possibility of them signing, because when you leave the house, if they have not signed the listing agreement, the chances of you getting that listing have dropped dramatically, period. End of discussion. I don't care what they say, what you think. You want that signature when you go out.
Got it. Thank you.
All right. Good advice. Thank you,
Yeah,
Jeff. Good question.
Don't
Joey?
be afraid to continue to ask questions just because the script says those 7 or 10 questions. Work off of that. Ask more. Tell me more about that. Tell me more about that. But you need to really make sure that you get all the potential information out of them before you go.
Good information, Jeff. Thank you.
Sure.
Good. Okay. Other questions for Jeff?
I have one.
Go ahead, Patty.
Thanks. Hi, Jeff.
Right.
Along the lines of the pre-qual, I remember Tony Smith was saying, first you set the appointment and then you qualify them after. And he says you need to work up some responses in case once you talk to them and find out that maybe it's not the right time for them, how to work yourself out of the appointment. Does that make any sense?
Oh, sure. Gosh, yeah, that's another huge factor in going on these appointments is that you don't want to go on a listing appointment that either you can't get or you don't want. And so, and again, when I say don't want it, if it's a motivational situation, that would be the one part that would jump out to me. And I think Tony Smith's the bomb. I mean, he's maybe the brightest real estate mind at MFO for actually the boots on the ground. He knows about, you were in a listing appointment, you say this and they say that, and you say this and they say that, stuff like that. He's great at that. So anything that he would say is just a pearl in my opinion, but
I was wondering, do you have like certain responses? Like if somebody says, yeah, well, we just want to see what you have to say. We're not really sure if we're ready to list. Would you back out or would you still go knowing that they're iffy?
Well, I would want to go to, if it's a listing appointment, of course, then if we were to sell your house, where would you move? And oftentimes here, and the kiss of death that I can't stand here is to hear, well, we're maybe going to buy land and build. I'm like, oh, that's the worst. Because the finances, the buying the land, finding the builder, the price range they're in, it's all a nightmare. So but to answer your question simply, where are they moving and why are they moving there? What, when, where, why?
Okay. So if they don't have a firm answer, or we're not really sure, we may go here, we may go there. That's why we have to figure out, but we want you to come out.
You just have to just play that by ear, but I do think asking a few more questions and just to try to see how, if they're just wanting free information. And hey, we all know there's people that will have you come to their home that just want to know what their house is worth.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they have no understanding of real estate. I don't want to be there.
So Patty, I think Jeff said something just a minute ago that could do some major qualifying. And Jeff, I think paraphrasing, I think what I heard is, look, Patty, if I come out and I knock your socks off and give you all the information and you're convinced I can get your home sold, are you planning on listing your home with me tonight? And listen for the answer. But Jeff, that's what I thought I heard you say.
Absolutely. Yeah. You want to hear a yes.
Yeah.
And another, if I sell your house and it closes in 30 days, where would you move? Oh, I have no idea. I don't know what we'll do. That's, that would be a red flag to me. They need some sort of a plan. So
I'm going to move in with my mother.
There you go. That sounds good to me.
Exactly.
Move in with mom. Perfect.
All right. Okay. Unmute yourselves. Unmute yourselves. Let's give Jeff a big hand.
Thank you, Jeff.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
So Joni, you still there?
Joni is gone.
Okay. Now I was going to ask Joni if there was a question that we should ask that we didn't ask. So you can ask her that, okay, for me, Jeff?
It's easy. It's one of my best closes ever. I say, look, if I can get her to marry me, I can sell your house. It typically works pretty well.
Works every time, right, Jeff?
Yeah. But
I love it. I love it. Hey, what would you say? What would you say your superpower was?
For me,
yeah,
is persistence.
Even though you're an amiable and you don't like people not to like you?
It's a professional persistence.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it's okay. It's just, and it's being able to sniff out whether the lead's worth following up with or not.
Very good. Excellent. All right.
Yeah.
Really good. What we're going to do now is, I don't know if you're on a hard stop right now at 102, but if not, we're going to go around the room a little bit. And we ask the question of the agents that are here, what did they learn from Jeff today? What were some of the nuggets that they can take out of this? And if you want to hang around and listen in, that's great. And if you have to leave, we certainly understand it.
No, I'd love to hear this.
All right.
That'd be wonderful. Yeah.
Great
You know
job.
what, Jeff, I think the biggest thing I took away from this today is, I'll say it, old dogs can learn new tricks, and it's pretty amazing. I joined the Mike Fair organization about 6 years ago, and it
Okay.
changed how I looked at stuff too. And it actually, to hear your success story is, even the young people have to understand that, to change is hard. And, but when we are changing and we're uncomfortable, that means we're growing. And you did a great job at that, Jeff.
Well,
Yeah,
thank
it's
you. I appreciate
fabulous. Good job. All right, good comment, Randy. Thank you. Others on what did you learn today from Jeff Larue? Come on. Let's jump in.
Efficiency.
Dave, go ahead. You had it?
What?
Dave, I'm sorry. Did you have a comment?
Oh, actually, I did. Well, number one, I love your hairstyle. Second, what I loved most was the questions that you ask during the pre-qual and just probing. And I understand or at least I'm beginning to understand why you're doing that. It makes the listing appointment go so much better, and you don't get so frustrated when they say no. Because going in that it's 90% chance that you're going to get it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's I love that.
Well, that's great. Good stuff. All right.
Sounds
who
like
else?
he's extremely efficient. Efficiency seems to be a real trait. Kind of
Absolutely.
an extension of what Dave just said about with the pre-qualified.
Yeah,
Being
good
efficient.
stuff. Yeah, excellent, Shane. Thank
Something
you.
that I notice is that Jeff is in my age bracket. So the age, nationality, what type of accent you have, education, doesn't mean nothing. Just your persistence and your mindset.
100%, Tony. I've been
Completely
trying to
agree.
get that across for my entire career. Look at me. I used to be the youngest in the room. Now I'm the oldest in the room.
But with
Or
lots of
almost the
experience.
Well, I don't know about that. I got no education.
I am Neil. I am older than you.
All right, Clement. Okay, you win.
You can have the title.
I'm not going to argue, Clement. All right, good stuff. What else did we learn?
Neil, what I got out of it, and Jeff, thank you so much for being here. I know you're a busy guy. I know you're a couple hours ahead of us, so really appreciate you taking the time. A couple things that I got out of it is I think probably one of Jeff's superpowers, my guess would be, is his ability to make things light. He has a great sense of humor. He, makes things fun. And obviously, Mike tells us all the time in real estate, we have to be the calming force in the transaction. And
Absolutely.
I got a feeling that that's one of Jeff's superpowers, is his ability to bring that humor and kind of lightness. And so I think that is a really great trait for people to work on, because he's very easy to talk to. But the other thing that I wrote down here that I thought was really good is that the question of, just tell me more about that. And we, Neil, you and I talk about this all the time, and agents of, you got to dig more, you got to dig more, you got to dig more. And I got to tell you all, if you run out of things to say, if you just remember that line, tell me more about that. Well, we're moving because we want a bigger house. Oh, great. Tell me more about that. We're selling because we want to retire. Tell me more about that. Like just that line will uncover so much more and keep the conversation going. So I hope everyone wrote that one simple line down and you implement it in all of your stuff, that's going to save a lot of you.
Great stuff. Thank you, Robert. Excellent. Okay, others, what did we learn from Jeff
Question
today?
for Jeff. Can I?
Go ahead, Sam.
Hi, Jeff. How is your day like?
I come in about 8 or 8:30. I'm on the phone till I have a role play from 10:30 to 11. Typically on the phone till 12 or 1. And then after that, I'll work on, I don't go to lunch. I just have lunch here in my office. And then in the afternoons, ideally, I will go on an appointment, or I try to go to one house a day. That's a new thing for me, for some reason, whether it's knocking on a door, listing appointment, preview a for sale by owner, just something. So that's kind of the thing I'm trying to do right now.
Really good. Excellent. Gabriella, did you have something you wanted to share?
Me? No, but it's pretty much what Randy.
Yeah, Gabriella, you're breaking up a little bit.
Okay.
Dave, did you have a comment?
It's pretty
Another
much
one?
saying that age should not be a limitation for working and pushing and getting it done. Yeah.
100%. Absolutely. I think that's my biggest takeaway. That's kind of what I zeroed in on with you, Jeff, because you had been in this business and you burned damn near 30 years. 30
Right.
years. You know, you'd be in the military, you'd be retired.
Yeah, I got you.
And you burned 30 years doing a job that was probably frustrating through most of those 30 years. Because you knew there was more could be done and you weren't
Right.
getting it done. And
Sure.
in large part, see, you also said, just do what Mike says. And
No doubt.
recently, it's really interesting because recently we have in our organization a number of examples of agents that have said exactly the same thing recently, that they did what Mike said and it worked 9 out of 10 times for them. I just had this just a few days ago where this gal had said something like that, and we have 2 or 3 others. I'm finding more and more people, you know, I've been following Mike for 50 years now, and we have such an advantage today over 50 years ago. 50 years ago, there were 1 or 2 agents doing 50 transactions a year. And today there's a ton doing over 50 transactions a year, 100 transactions a year. So all of it we had then was blind faith. We had only blind faith. A few of us kept the faith. Most of us didn't. And now we're finding people like yourself, Jeff. I mean, thank you, because when agents come to me and say, it's too late for me, I'm too old, I can't get to 50 or 100 transactions, I get to have them call Jeff Larue, and he's going to put them on the straight and narrow. I love it. Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate it. All right, unmute yourselves. Unmute yourselves. Big hand. All right. Good work. Good work. Good work. Jeff, Jeff, thank you. Thanks, Joni, for being part of this. Really appreciate it. Randy, thank you for being there.
I tried, Neil. I tried.
You got it. Hey, I'm in Knoxville, Tennessee, Gatlinburg, Tennessee. If you have anybody coming this way, let me know.
You got it.
Jeff, we posted that in the chat box, and
Oh, great. Thank you.
and you're welcome. And when the recording comes out, which will be a couple days, we'll make sure that you get it and get a copy of it and kind of go from there. But thank you so much, my friend. We really appreciate it.
Neil, you are welcome. I love giving back. Anything I can ever do to help you.
Yeah, I know.
Anytime, just call me.
All right. Appreciate it, buddy. Thank you much.
See ya.
Okay, good job. Excellent. That was fantastic. Really, really good. You know, every week I meet somebody, and I didn't really know Jeff and his background and stuff. That's an amazing job to go from 35 transactions a year for 20 something years, then to boost it to 55, 75, 95, and he's looking for 100 and I don't even ask him how old he was, because age doesn't matter. Does it, Tony? Does it, Randy?
No.
It doesn't.
It certainly
That's what
doesn't
I
matter
love
in
seeing
wisdom.
that the most. I love seeing when your mindset, I can go back to the moment that I met you, the first conference I went to, you in the front row with your crazy socks. And I
still
got that
have them
aha.
on.
Yeah, I know. I got that aha moment. I wear them now too. I got that aha moment where this is how it's done.
Yeah, that's right.
And and I was in my 50s.
Yeah. Well,
I remember that you had a interview with a lady who was from South America, I believe, but I don't remember her name. She was in New York, and hardly you could understand her, but she was excellent.
Yes.
She used to do so many deals per year. Unbelievable.
Yeah. Terrific. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman. It doesn't matter if you have an accent or don't have an accent. It doesn't matter what age you are. It doesn't matter in this business if you choose for it not to matter.
Correct.
If you choose for it not to matter. Remember, I'm the guy, when I started in this business, I was 21 years old, 20. I was 20 years old. I was the youngest guy in the room during a time where almost all real estate agents were retired. And I was a kid being full-time, just coming out of the military. Now, fast forward that 50 years, and I'm one of the oldest guys in the room. And sometimes people are trying to make me irrelevant. Let me tell you something, everybody. When you get to where I am in life, you're going to be where I was. So that's a fact. Okay? So don't forget that. Anytime you want to try to get ahead of me, you try, but you're going to be where I was. All right? So, Robert, whose turn is it? It's probably Armin's.
It is Armin's.
Any more questions?
What
Any more
lucky
questions?
guess. What a
Somebody's gotta have
lucky
a
guess,
question.
Neil. What?
It's Armin, and then we got Miriam, Caesar, Freddie, Miriam, and then at 3:30, I have a video of Kristen Hamilton doing a listing presentation role play. We're going to watch that at 3:30 and discuss what we learned from her afterwards.